Chapter 2. Occupational Destruction. The second time I got caught jacking off, I was 27. That means I had a pretty good streak going of about 13 years, flying under the radar. But the second time I got caught was far worse than the first time, because the second time, I got caught at work. Let me explain. I work from home, and I had a lot of online meetings with clients. The day I got caught, I logged into a meeting, but the client wasn't there yet. This was not unusual. Oftentimes, clients were late or they never showed up to the meeting at all. Company protocol stated that I had to wait at least 15 minutes before I could close the meeting. Whenever a client was late, instead of waiting around patiently like a good little boy, I typically used those 15 minutes doing what most millennials do. I'd browse YouTube or Reddit, or I'd open up Instagram, Facebook, X, Snapchat, or TikTok. With all these social media apps, there was no shortage of time killers. So back to my story, the client was late for the meeting, so I jumped on YouTube to kill some time. While watching one of my favorite gaming channels, an ad popped up beside the video that said, "Talk to beautiful Ukrainian girls now," with a picture of what looked like a young, beautiful Ukrainian girl. The advertising algorithm clearly had me pegged as a single, lonely 30-year-old boy, so I see these types of ads all the time. I usually never clicked on them, but for whatever reason, this day I did. I guess if you're bombarded with something often enough, eventually you succumb. Plus, the girl in the thumbnail was really hot, and I got hooked. The ad brought me to a live cam porn website, to which I was no stranger. As the girl started doing her thing, my pants quickly made their way down to my ankles. And that day was supposed to be extra special because my parents were out of town for a month, so I didn't have to worry about getting caught. Plus, the client never showed up, the 15 minutes had long passed, and I was in the clear for another 45 minutes until my next meeting. Except on this fateful day, for whatever reason, I forgot to end and close the online meeting chat. The meeting was wide open with my webcam still on me. Of course, the one time that I forgot to close it, the client ends up logging in 20 minutes late. Right as I was getting into it, all I could hear was a screaming, "Oh my God!" My heart nearly shot out of my chest cavity, and I had never gone so soft, so fast. You know when you have a boner in public and you try to think about something non-sexual so that it goes away, but it never works? This time was the polar opposite of that. Realizing that the Zoom meeting was still open, I damn near fell out of my chair as I quickly pulled up my pants. The client, a woman, go figure, locked eyes with me and quickly logged off. How embarrassing. The next few days were deeply anxiety-riddled, more so than usual. I already had problems sleeping, but after that, it was worse. Was she going to tell my boss? Surely this was grounds to lose my job. Even if I didn't get fired, if she tells him, how could I ever look my boss in the eyes again? Prozac. Turns out that the client never contacted my boss. I imagine she put two and two together and probably just felt bad for me. Thank God. I needed my job. I was saving for my own condo. To get a girl, you needed a condo. Most of the kids from my high school, by this point they had their own condo, and it just pissed me off whenever I would see Instagram stories of them just lounging out watching football, drinking beer in their own condo. Here I was at 30, still with my parents. Problem is that the real estate market in the US recently became insanely expensive. The American dream was now a pipe dream. But I've been saving for 8 years, and I was so close to getting my own condo, I could taste it. Give or take 6 more months, depending on my commission bonus, and I would be ready. You see, even though I didn't like my job and it didn't pay a ton, it did have a great commission bonus opportunity. My job was to sell artificial intelligence voiceover recordings to companies. If you work in the corporate world, you might know that a lot of companies, they publish these training videos, or they create commercials or explainer videos for how to use their products. Now, in the past, these companies would hire a human to record the text. My job is to convince these companies not to hire humans, but to use our AI software. My company's gotten these AI voices to a point where they sound so natural. It's not like the old iPhone Siri voice. Our AI voices, they even breathe now. With AI voices, not only does a company no longer have to hire a live human voice actor, but we also offer it cheaper, and we can have it done right away. If a company purchases our software, all they have to do is choose a voice, enter their text, click Generate, and the voice recording is ready for download within about 30 seconds. This is much more convenient for the company and, more importantly, cheaper. As you can imagine, our business was booming. However, I did hear rumors that they were going to replace the sales staff, which was my role, with AI chatbots. It's a circle of life, I suppose. Just as I was taking jobs away from humans, my job too should soon be redundant and swallowed up by AI. What's funny is that in order for us to create these AI voices, we actually do have to hire live human voice actors to record large amounts of words and phrases in various tones, pitches, and speeds in order to capture a wide range of vocal expressions. But once we have the recording, we can train our AI to generate synthetic speech that just mimics the natural voice. The funny element is that, in a way, not only are these humans crushing their own industry by accepting these AI jobs, but their actual voice now becomes the robots. In 10 years from now, my guess is that AI will have taken over virtually every single white-collar job, and humans will be practically useless. Elon Musk said that in the future, work is going to be optional, something humans can do, but only if they want to. This job of selling artificial intelligence voices to companies, it had certain pros and cons. The main pro was that I was able to do this job from the comfort of my own home, which presented certain interesting possibilities. One, I could jack off whenever I wanted, more or less. I also had a more flexible schedule, no commute. Sometimes, I'd wear basketball shorts or track pants underneath my collared shirt since they weren't visible on the webcam. I could be extra comfortable. Sometimes I'd even wake up 10 minutes before I had to start a meeting. I'd just roll out of bed and jump online, with my eyes and brain still not working. This was no way to start the morning, but I wasn't a morning person. But working from home also had a lot of downfalls. The main downfall was that I had no genuine human interaction during the day. I mean, I had my webcam calls with customers, but I could tell that my lack of real-life in-person interaction, something about it was just unhealthy. Being cooped up in the house all day would drive me insane sometimes. I tried to get out of the house at least once a day, but sometimes I didn't get out at all. When I did go out, I'd do things like go for a walk in the park or go to the grocery store. This way, I could at least see humans and interact with people in person. Even if it was just a brief interaction with somebody in the park or a grocery store cashier, I always felt a bit better after. But now, these interactions were becoming more and more seldom. Even the grocery store has AI self-checkout. I think, deep down, I also went out with the hopes that maybe, one day, I could meet a girl. I always imagined meeting my future wife in person. But meeting people, as I just mentioned, proved to be difficult. Talking to people was actually the main hurdle because, one, I do have a little bit of anxiety, and two, everyone's in just such a rush these days. Nobody really wants to talk. Nowadays, if you talk to somebody, they think that there's something wrong with you. Sometimes, despite all this, I would actually work up the courage to talk to somebody, And I would say something like, "Hey, how are you?" And this was always met with like a brief, monotonous reply of, "Good," as they kept on moving, or they'd get up and leave, or put their headphones on or something. Sometimes I wonder, how is it that living in a city of over 1 million people, I could feel so invisible and alone?